Welcome. I want to talk to you today about an important topic as far as our front desk personnel. Front desk safety and security is an important topic that we've had requests about and some concerns about. So I want to make sure we talk about some tips and tricks that you can use to help you be comfortable and confident in your role as a front desk employee. As a front desk employee, you really serve an important role within informed communications. You're that front contact that people see first when they come in our facilities. We want you to be able to be confident and project that professional and safe image to us and those visitors that come in the building. So these are some tips that we use to help you accomplish that. Again, thank you for your time today. I really appreciate your attention to this really important topic. Some of the outline items you want to go through today include, why are we doing this? What's the reasoning behind it? We're going to talk about front desk safety assessments. How do we go through and make sure you take a look at your work area to make sure it's as safe and efficient as possible. Some safety habits to lock into your memory. Once you get done with this presentation, hopefully you'll take some things away and you can use it at your front desk job. Some warning type signs of trouble that you might encounter. Just some tips on that. Exuding some control and confidence in your position. Some safe mail tips, and also some resources you have available to you as a front desk employee if you have questions or concerns about safety. So let's go ahead and get started on that. Why are we doing this? Really, it has to do with peace of mind. We're all looking for that in our jobs. It's much more easy to complete and do a job if you're more comfortable and you have that peace of mind. And you have a case in your head where you can kind of get a situation where you understand and can react to things as they come and be more confident in that regard. So let's be honest, I hope that this training is never needed, really ever. But again, if we're being honest with ourselves, we have to know that difficult situations do happen. And so we want to make sure that you're ready for those and confident in those. Would you rather feel confident or have to wing it? So that's really why we're doing this. First of all, I want you to look at your front desk and your layout, just to kind of get an idea of the lay of the land as far as safety and security goes. Is it a cluttered area? Is there ways you can tidy it up a little bit? Is there any potential danger areas, slip and trip hazards, or areas you can't see someone in the facility or in the front desk area? Is there equipment, cash that's loose sitting out in the eyesight of visitors? Make sure you take care of that. Is there access to private information, your PC screen or sensitive documents and that kind of thing? And then finally, can you change your layout a little bit to make it more efficient and more safe to you? So think about those things when you're looking at your front desk area. Some of the key points I want you to lock into your head today as far as minimizing risk. Lay out your furniture in your desk to protect you. There should be a barrier between you and visitors. If it's possible, keep a 6 to 8 foot distance away from visitors. Sometimes it's not possible, but the more distance you have, the more comfortable you can feel in working with an individual, especially if it escalates. Always have an escape route in mind. If you've got just one or two options as far as how will I get out of the situation if I need to, keep that in mind, and also who you contact in the event there is trouble. Keeping clutter under control, making sure that your area is neat, like I mentioned, that'll allow you to escape the situation. It'll also keep information and things out of the way of a visitor. Keeping sensitive documents, like I said, equipment out of the way, expensive items out of the way, that's really going to help keep that distraction away from people in the building. Keep office tools away that might be used as a weapon. People don't often think about letter openers and scissors and that kind of thing, but if you can keep those things stowed away when you're not using them, that can help create a more safe working environment. And finally, I want to talk about our FCC guidelines as far as PCI compliance. If you work in our front desk role, you've taken PCI compliance and you understand some of the requirements that entails. All of our non-FCC employees, anybody that's a visitor to our facility, must follow those guidelines. They must wear a badge, visitor badge. They must sign in and also sign out when they come in any of our facilities. And they also must be accompanied by the person they're visiting. That includes having them come down to the front desk to get them and accompany them while they're in the facility, and also walking them out of the building. It's really important, even if you're familiar with somebody, to make sure we follow those guidelines. That includes any ex-employees, any family members, that kind of thing. We have to do that as far as PCI compliance. That's required in order for us to continue to do business. So it's very important from that standpoint. It's also important to keep our facility safe and make sure we know who's coming in and out of the building. Some of the warning signs you might watch out for when someone's in the building, a visitor, and the situation might escalate. If you see some anxiety, the person might have some anxiety or increasing anxiety while they talk to you. It might be a cause for some concern. You want to make sure that you remain as calm as you can and try and diffuse the situation. Another one would be defensiveness. If someone comes in and is already defensive, typically there might be an issue or a prior issue that might be on their mind, and it might cause a situation to escalate. So keep that in mind as well. Frustration and anger are similar types of things. If you see that happening early and often in a conversation with a visitor, make sure you can get yourself out of the situation or get help if you need to. Really what we want you to exude is that control and confidence in your role. If you get in a situation where you feel like it could escalate, try some of these tips. They really do help. Try to give them your undivided attention. A lot of times, folks that have an issue or a problem just want you to listen. They want you to know that they're listening to them and that you're going to follow up with them. So ask them to sit down, take some notes while you're talking to them, be as friendly as you can, use some I statements, and we'll talk about that in a moment. Be as firm as you can, but as friendly as you can. We want you to know, or want them to know, that you're in control of the situation and you're comfortable and confident in your job. Also, be honest. Let them know what you can and cannot do right from the bat, from the start. That way, there's no unrealistic expectations, and it can help keep the situation from diffusing. If you're not certain when you can handle a visitor or not, don't try to do that. Get help if needed. A lot of times, if you're in a situation where you're just not comfortable, make sure you have that in your head to get help and have that system set up where you can get somebody else, at least in the building, to help you in that situation, to walk over and be with you. A lot of times, that's really all it takes to help diffuse a situation too. If necessary, make sure you have an escape route and can get out of the situation, no matter what. If you're not comfortable, you need to exercise that to make sure you remain safe. Some of the I statements that I talked about too. For example, thanks for coming in today. I just have to ask you to take a moment to sign in so I can have you on your way. That seems like a really simple statement, but it can really get a person at ease who might be in a hurry or might be anxious to get to a meeting. Just letting them know your expectations and requirements as far as signing in. And it also assures them that you're going to help get them as quickly as they can to where they need to go. So keep that in mind. Those kind of statements, you can read these here on the screen. Some of the additional tips that I like to give out for front desk, making sure, like I mentioned, taking notes, making sure you give them your undivided attention, and also let them know you'll follow up with them. Don't create unrealistic expectations, but if you're going to follow up, make sure you do that. Let them know you'll do that. Follow up as soon as you can. Give them as much information as you can without sharing information that may not be true. Don't overpromise. Just give them assurance that you're going to follow up with them no matter what. And then watch out for what I like to call slippery visitors. Folks that come in that might be familiar to you, that come in our building quite often. We have to treat everyone that's not an employee the same as far as PCI compliance. So we have to keep those procedures in place no matter who comes in the building. So make sure you keep that, be polite about it, but be firm about what those expectations are. And then this might seem kind of silly, but at the same time, practice what you're going to say in different situations. You know, a lot of times, having that confidence that you've practiced, a situation and going through that in your head will help you in a situation when it comes up, when it becomes second nature to you. Another thing I want to mention is mail screening. A lot of you have a dual role and you get mail at the front desk. So make sure that you open all mail with a letter opener, just from the safety perspective. If you get a package you're not comfortable with or you have some concerns about it, don't open it. Let your supervisor know. Immediately call authorities if you need to. We'd rather have you be cautious than sorry. So make sure you take that time, and if you're not comfortable with something like that, make sure you get a supervisor involved. Make sure all of your incoming and outgoing mail is in a secure area, away from visitors, away from the visitor area. We want to make sure that's separate from the front end of the facility. I want to make sure, too, that you understand that we're all here to help you in your role. Again, it's a very important role. You provide that front, fresh perspective and face to foreign communications and that professionalism. So if you ever have any questions or security concerns, talk to your supervisor. They will, along with your location management and your safety committee, will come up with a way to make sure that you're as comfortable as you can be in your role. Any concerns that are unresolved can also come to us in HR at the corporate office here in Fargo at hr@formcom.com. Again, I want to thank you for your time today. Thanks so much for listening to this, and if you have any questions, feel free to get in touch with us. And again, thanks for what you do. Have a great week.